Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what Indians are all about.
I still say we Indian people are believers in the truth. This is the way of life that was given to your people. You're born an Indian, you're going to die an Indian. Indianness is a good life. You're facing an Indian this afternoon.
Good Saturday afternoon out there, everyone, and welcome to your number one source for Native American television news, Native News Today. I'm your host, Jason Salzman, and we have a special episode for you this week. We're going to continue our debates, and we'll take a look at some of the sights and sounds from a historic day this past week in Tulsa, as it was the first ever Native American Day there in Tulsa. So, the debate, Native American Day in Tulsa, coming up for you right after this first break. You're watching Native News Today. Mvskoke Media has created an online survey to get feedback from you about our coverage and operations. Participants will be entered to win artwork from Mvskoke Creek artist Dana Tiger. At the beginning, you will be asked for your name, phone number, and email. The survey consists of 18 questions that are either multiple choice or in a yes or no format. Visit www.mvskokemedia.com to participate before November 30th, and winners will be announced December 1st. And welcome back to the program, and we get started right away with a historic day in Tulsa, as it was the first ever celebration of Native American Day. I was on the scene. Here are the sights and sounds from Native American Day in Tulsa at the Guthrie Green.
Now therefore be it resolved, the city of Tulsa, Oklahoma declares that the second Monday in October as Native American Day in recognition of its Native American citizens, and calls on all Indian tribes, national and regional organizations, and all Americans to commemorate this day with appropriate programs and activities to celebrate and honor the culture, contributions, and traditions of Native Americans. Aho, thank you, City of Tulsa.
This first was brought to my attention after I won the election last year, that we don't have a day, or did not have a day, to recognize all the contributions and achievements of the great Native Americans who call Tulsa home, and have historically. And so I was thankful that we had a commission in place, the Greater Tulsa Area Indian Affairs Commission, that I could work with to develop a resolution declaring today to be Native American Day in Tulsa. And I'm so thankful that we live in a city where the contributions of the Native American community here are so glaringly obvious that when I presented it to the Tulsa City Council, when these types of proclamations have been presented to other city governments in other places around the country and other cities here in Oklahoma even, there's been controversy, there's been pushback, there's been lengthy debate, but not here in Tulsa.
I am hopeful that the city of Tulsa and the Native American people can continue to work together to look for more opportunities where our mutual efforts can strengthen this great city, and that its citizens and our relationship become a model for other cities. May we always remember this historic day and its importance for our future generations. Hello.
What a great day that was, and you can see that on our online channel. Another thing you can catch on our online channel are our previous debates. Now we continue with our newest debate. Our newest feature is with the Mvskoke District, and we provide that to you here now. Hello and welcome in as we continue our 2017 Mvskoke Creek National Council candidate debates. I am your host, Jason Salzman, and we are presented here by Mvskoke Media. And today we are featuring the Mvskoke candidates, and want to thank those candidates for being with us today. Both of these gentlemen, former councilmen themselves, Mr. Travis Scott and Mr. Franklin Coachman. Guys, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Well, our two candidates, they are going to get a chance to answer the questions. There will be no time limit on your answers, so just feel free to answer as you wish to these questions. I will alternate with each candidate on the questions, so I'll start off with one, then move to the next on the next question, but you will all, both get a chance to answer each question. I'll just alternate when we move to a different question to a different candidate here. So these questions are going to revolve around tribal issues, your platform, personal views, as well as things that are pertinent to the districts that you guys are running for. So with that being said, if you're both ready, we'll get started.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Franklin Coachman, I'm going to start with you today. Will being a council representative be your only employment? If not, will you miss work to attend the meetings?
It'll be my only employment. I believe in doing one task at a time, and being a council representative, I feel like you've got to have your full focus on being a council. I know some council members do both, and that might work for them, but it won't work for me because I've got to stay focused on being a council member, so I will be full-time.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Scott, same question for you. Will being a council representative be your only employment? If not, will you miss work for these meetings?
Well, Jason, you know, being your own boss has its benefits. When I served my two previous terms, I worked for a private company, and it didn't deter any of my relations as a council member at that time. So this term in the future will not hinder my process to serve the people. I'll be able to accommodate any measures necessary.
Thank you, sir. Travis will stay with you for the next question. Are you currently under contract for any entity or organization outside of the Mvskoke Creek Nation? Or do you have any previously undisclosed business interests?
No, sir. I don't serve on any boards. I don't have any ties with any other tribes. My wife and I, Sheree Hill Scott, we own our own business. Been blessed for 2 years, and other than that, that's all we do. Mr.
Coachman, same question for you.
No, I'm not under contract with anybody, and like I said, I'm retired, so I don't have any interest except singing to my cows every now and then, and that's about it.
All right. Mr. Coachman, let's go to you for the next question. Are you going to propose or support legislation that allows Mvskoke Creek citizens residing outside of the jurisdiction to receive benefits? If so, what type of benefits?
Well, there's several programs that we've got. We've got the medical travel expense, the hardship, the clothing, and food for burial. We've got these programs already there for the at-large citizens. Now, I think we need to get more out there to let the at-large citizen know what's there. And being on the council before, I've proposed appropriated monies for citizens that lived outside the boundaries for certain things. And so I don't know if we really need to get more programs, or we just need to better advertise the programs we've got.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Scott, same question. You want me to read it again for you?
Yes, sir, please.
Are you going to propose or support legislation that allows Mvskoke Creek citizens residing outside of the jurisdiction to receive benefits? If so, what type of benefits?
Well, Jason, previously when I was on my 2 terms as a council member, like Mr. Coachman, I supported individuals outside the jurisdiction, one meaning Oklahoma City. We help fund that community every year, and so right now we have to abide by some federal regulations with certain monies. Tribal money can be spent any way we see fit. So with a good plan of action, there's many factors we have to look into as far as appropriating that money. So if a council member so chooses to and the appropriate money is available, then I believe I could support it, yes.
Thank you. Go to you and start with you for the next question, Mr. Scott. A lot of National Council, running and campaigning means having a plan beforehand and then going and getting in the position, being able to execute that plan. Is there any specific legislation that that you're going to propose if elected?
We went to several forums in the past several weeks, and there's been one thing that I believe that I've stressed to some communities that over years past, it hadn't been just this administration, but previous administrations as well, that the communities have been stagnant on economic development. And years that the election come up, we talk about economic development. And so I had proposed to speak with some constituents in other communities, not just Mvskoke, Eufaula, and other places, that we feel the need to not have a stronghold on those communities. And right now, I think that if we can enact some commerce laws to enable those communities to structure some businesses, economic development. However, there will be some guidelines that they'll have to follow so the nation's not at risk. I think that would give them some ample opportunity to diversify as far as economic development.
Mr. Coachman, same question for you. Any specific legislation you have in mind to propose if elected?
I don't have really any specific legislation right now. I believe that there's a lot of things that we're doing that the Creek Nation could do better. And as far as changing that, I don't think that we just need to work with what we've got right now. And sure, things could come up within the next year or two that would benefit the tribe, and if that does come up, I would support legislation to change things.
Thank you, sir. Back to you for this next question, Mr. Coachman. Everything that's done at this tribe, big purchases, decisions, pretty much comes to the National Council, and you're going to have a listen to it before anything is signed off on. What information would you require as a council representative in order to vote on property purchases, business ventures, things of that nature?
Well, on business ventures, I think you'd need a business plan that they're going to use to what this property is for. Now, that's one of the things you always ask for is what is the property going to be used for? How much the property is, and I know sometimes they want to hike the price up just because it's the Creek Nation, and I've know a few times that we've sent them just what was appraised as an offer, and I think that's what we need to do. That's a good thing to do. Now, as far as on what was the other part, business?
Yeah, business ventures, purchases, etc.
Okay, business ventures, you need a real good business plan on that too, as far as what, how much money is it going to make in the future, how much money is it going to make to the tribe, and how much, if Creek citizens are going to be employed, how much is it going to start to cost, and you got to look at everything. Those are the kind of decisions that keep a councilman up late at night, just going over the paperwork and stuff, reading.
Mr. Scott, same question to you. What information are you going to need as a national councilman before you make any decision on business ventures, land purchases, anything of that nature?
Well, Jason, as you well know, nothing happens overnight. There's a lot of factors in business development, land acquisitions, feasibility studies, environmental studies, as far as the land propositions. It is good for the nation to buy land. However, I agree with Mr. Coachman that we need to have a plan of action to establish those purchases. As far as business-wise, it took us over a year to acquire our business because of all of the requirements. And it wasn't easy, but we got to that point to be blessed to have that opportunity. And the nation has had several opportunities in years past I don't know that if it was beneficial or feasible for the nation to acquire those businesses, but the financial studies, number of years the business has been in, the revenue it's generated, and I think sometimes as council members we tend to lean on gaming as far as a source of reconciliation on buying a business, and that diversification has to come at some point. Gaming is not always equivalent to per se buying a farm or something like that, that the longevity revenue stream is going to be a little longer than gaming. So we have to broaden the spectrum on what we plan to do other than just trying to accommodate what we have now, because tobacco, as you well know, is an issue now with the state government. They're trying to put fees and taxes and different things. How's that going to affect our compacts? So there's numerous things that we have to do as a tribe with our sovereignty to acquire different means of revenue. I think that we have a lot of intelligent people in our communities within the tribe, and using those resources will help accommodate that diversity.
Thank you, sir. And we'll stay right with you for the next question, Mr. Scott. Are you going to propose legislation or support that creates an at-large council representative voted on by the citizens?
Well, you know, right now we're all at large. The office and the seats that we're running for, we're all at large. I think that it's our job and duty as council members to represent everyone, every district. That's part of our job. Those community meetings, you know, getting out with our constituents and listening to their concerns. As far as a at-large another member, I think that that's something to look at. You know, we have 16 members now that you know, we could. If we're all doing our job, I think we can all cover everything we need to be doing as far as council members. That's the duties. That's what we were elected to do. And that's, I think right now that, you know, if it's feasible to do and that's what the people see the need to do, then it'd be something to look at.
What about you, Mr. Coachman?
I agree with Travis that council members should do more for their constituents, but at large now, we have a liaison right now working with him, and I think that might be something to look at later on down the road with people, because at-large citizens, now, are we talking about out-of-state citizens? Are we talking about just Oklahoma City or those that live in Tahlequah? You know, they're at-large is some citizens that can be 5 miles down past the boundaries or 2,000 miles past the boundaries, and, you know, trying to get all what their needs are. Everyone's different, and I think in time with the setup we got now with our liaison working with that large, that we will be able to get a better perspective of what the at-large citizens need. And yeah, I think it in due time, if people wanted to support an at-large citizens, I think I could support that.
Mr. Coachman, we'll stay with you here. Start off on our next question. And this question actually comes to us submitted from a citizen in Tulsa. Jacob here says, could you comment on the assertion that employees are afraid to express their concerns out of fear that they will lose their jobs? And if you agree with that comment, what should the council do to improve this situation?
Okay, employment, I believe, is an administration issue. But I've heard that comment before, and I will advocate for the employee. I think our HR department needs to maybe step up a little bit in what it's doing for our employees and take a different look or approach on how to handle these situations. But I know the administration part is more the hiring or firing of employees and stuff more than the council would be. But I would advocate for the employee.
Mr. Scott, same question there. The comment was on the assertion that employees are afraid to express concerns out of fear they will lose their jobs. If you agree with that assertion, or maybe the comment, what should the council do, or could the council do, to improve this situation?
Well, Jason, over years past, that has been a growing concern with our employees slash tribal members. They are our citizen first. We represent them as their council members, so the expectations to be able to come to your council members and express your concerns as an employee, there shouldn't be any distinguishing concerns on their part. However, there is. I agree with Mr. Coachman, that is an administrative function. However, the council can pass laws, and we don't administrate the laws, we pass the laws. So there's various factors and information that comes entail with employee rights, with the situations, and so we have to advocate regardless for our citizens slash employees, because that's our job.
Thank you, sir. We'll stay with you here for our last question, and this question comes to us from the Mvskoke Nation Youth Council. What issues, problems do you think face our Mvskoke youth, and how would you address those issues?
Jason, a couple of years ago, my wife and I went through a trying time. We lost a son that was 20 years old to a tragic car accident. He had some issues. However, we did the best job we could do to get him help. And right now, when we were kids and growing up, the world is a different place. It's a different era of what we're raising our kids in now. I have 3 kids of my own at home, and it's trying times because it's something different every day that they face, whether it's at school or at a basketball game or whatever. And the drug issues, mental health issues, it starts at home with the parents. And if our parents and the behavioral health systems can help our kids with numerous things, like I said, we can help protect our youth. We need to find functions for them to do in our communities to keep them busy. Give them an opportunity to understand what they're facing, because we do. Like I express to my children all the time, we don't tell you things just because. We've either experienced it or went through it. And those are the things that even when we're at our church, we have a good youth group at our church at Springfield United Methodist Church. And we have good youth leaders. They do a great job with our kids, and they do things with them on the weekends outside of church. Makes it fun for them to know that people care about them, and they trust us. And those are the things we have to do to help our youth survive, because it's a survival tactic now anymore, because in this world today, anything can happen, as you've seen in the past few weeks, and you can't live in fear. You have to enjoy life and love your kids and give them the best source of a livelihood that you can as a parent. Council members, we need to support our youth and give them every stretch and everything we can that we could possibly do, because they're the future. They will be here one day, sitting where I'm at, vying for a position, and we need to educate them. We need to get them to understand our tribe is important.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Coachman, finishing up with you, the main issues, problems our Mvskoke youth are facing today, and how you feel that we could address those
And
issues.
that was brought by
The Youth Council, yes, sir.
The Youth Council is a good start. I mean, that was a good program. And I think as a council member, I would listen to what the youth are saying, because they can tell us more of what the problems out there than what we could just by looking. If we just listen to them, they could probably tell us the programs or what's needed out there. And as a council member, I would act on what they were saying, because listening is part of being a good leader. Listening to what they say, and the program is real good, and I'm proud that they got national recognition with the Unity, and they're on the right track. So if we could just listen to what they're saying and go from there, and a lot of times, like Mr. Scott said, it's in the communities, working within the community. I know Wetumpka community is trying to get their youth council started up. They're talked about trying to get a youth council, and it's things like that. The community has to work with the youth and listen to them and try to see what activities or things that they might want to do, and you just builds up from there.
All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you not only for answering our questions here today for the debate, but not only that, thank you two gentlemen for your willingness to serve this great nation as well.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, and I also want to thank you folks out there that have been joining us here live on our online channel, watching the debates at MvskokeMedia.com, watching this Okfuskee District debate here today. As a reminder, if you did not vote in the primary election, you still can vote in the general election. Just because you didn't vote in the primary, that doesn't disqualify you from the general. You still have time to register to vote in the general election. The deadline for that registration as an absentee voter is October 12th, so coming up, be mindful of that. The deadline to register as a precinct voter is October 25th. The general election, of course, is on November 4th. We will be hosting debates for the Okmulgee, Tulsa, and Tuckabutchee districts in the coming weeks, and you can watch the Creek debate, which has already happened, as well as this one, on our website and YouTube page. Just go to the playlist there, and you can find them. If you are a citizen out there and you have a question that you'd like to send in to be read, as we did one today on the debate, you can please email that to jmcbride@MvskokeMedia.com, and we'll get that on here. We have also invited the winners of the McIntosh, Muskogee, Wagner, Rogers, Mays districts to participate to elaborate on their goals and plans for their upcoming council term, just so everybody gets a chance to answer some of these questions that we have. Stay tuned to MvskokeMedia.com and our social media sites as well, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, of all of our election coverage. We've got you covered like never before here, Mvskoke Media, on our Muskogee Creek Nation elections. We want to thank Mr. Freeman and Mr. Scott once again. Mr. Coachman and Mr. Scott once again for coming in today. I'm Jason Salzman. Thank you for joining us here for the Okfuskee District debate. Mado Hadam Jehachafis. And there you have the Okfuskee District, and all of the districts will be coming up. Those that have actually been, those races that have been decided already, we will allow those folks to come in and discuss their platforms. But where there is still runoff elections, we will have all of the district debates here on MvskokeMedia.com on Native News Today. And if you've missed your district or you want to see the districts that have already gone, you can go on our online channel, check that out. Stay with us on all of our social media outlets to keep up with the election as we get closer to November 4th. Well, for all the great people here at Native News Today, that's another episode. We'll see you guys next week, same time.